How are we doing? I've had this topic in my mind for a few days now, and I've also had the urge to speak. So we're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking today. We're gonna be talking today. What I would like to speak about today is the creation process and how if you create something, it's easy to fall into a state of mind where you're creating for someone rather than yourself. When you see comparisons, when you see people that make similar things to you, and you see that they are getting numbers, you start believing that creation is a numbers game. Or at least that's how I saw it for a while. And when you see creation as a numbers game, all of the soul of your creation dies. All the soul in your creation evaporates. And it becomes less of you creating and more of you just putting something out there in hopes of this metric that doesn't really mean anything. At the end of the day, none of these numbers mean anything. Sure, if you make money off whatever you create, or if your intention is to grow, then they can be a useful metric. But at the end of the day, none of it really matters. I'm not saying that in a nihilistic way. I'm just saying this in a way of it shouldn't matter, and it doesn't. Because creation is all about expression. It's not about how many numbers I can get. It's not about, oh, look at me, I have this. No, it's all about you putting yourself on a canvas, whether that be through art, through work, through anything like that. So in my case, music. But that also doesn't mean that I have to confine myself to that way of expression. And so yeah, I've noticed that like I have this habit, or for a better way of putting it, I had this habit of believing that my creation was a numbers game. And so everything that I create has to top the last thing that I've created. And when you fall into that mindset, it becomes easy to lose soul, lose the heart in your creation, because your creation becomes less of expression and more of just, oh yeah, let me do what's gonna do good. And that sucks. That's boring. That's terrible. And so I'm coming on here to talk about the fact that you shouldn't see it that way. You should see it for how you want to see it. And so if I want to bring this back to myself and relate and make it more relatable, is what I'm saying is that I got so caught up on like the release of my song that I've just released. Well, not just released, but released my most recent song. I released it, and I've got a lot of feedback from a lot of people, and everyone's like, "Yo, this song's fire." Some people are like, "Yo, this song has this and that with it," and that's valid as well. Like music is subjective. Everything is pretty much subjective. So anyways, people were like, yo, this is so cool, this is so cool. And so it brings this expectation in my mind of like, yo, I gotta top this one. I gotta keep topping this one. I gotta top every single release. And then you think to yourself that like, yo, if you're just focused on topping every single thing that you do, you're just gonna burn yourself out, because you're gonna plateau at some point and you're not gonna keep topping the same thing. Like, when you start out, that's when you're gonna grow the most. But then eventually you're gonna grow, and then your skill level is gonna, max out at some point. So then you literally can't go up anymore. You can only just go like this, or you can go down and then go back up again. So when your skill level like evens out, there's no way of topping that. So the only thing you can do is keep creating and experimenting with different things. And in that experimentation, that's when you can almost surpass that level, because you're just creating something new rather than staying in the same lane. But what I'm trying to say is, I got so invested in trying to, in the idea of topping my older work. I got so invested in that, and so it paralyzed me to create. It paralyzed me. So it put me in this space where I'm like, I have to make this thing that's so great and so amazing, yet like I don't even want to, because it seems like such a big fucking obstacle. How do I top something so amazing? I don't know how to do that. Or I do know, but I'm afraid to do that. Or even if I'm not afraid to do that, I'm just lazy to do that type beat. And so, yeah, so I don't know what that was, bro. But yeah, man, so I've realized I paralyzed myself for a while, and so I was procrastinating pretty heavy on like what the hell I want to do next. And it feels like in my head it should be all done, and it's this big project that needs to be done so fast and so quick. And the quicker I feel like this project needs to be created, the more I procrastinate. The more I procrastinate, the heavier the pressure becomes, and the heavier the pressure becomes, the less I want to do it, and the more it seems like something I don't want to do. And so, yeah, man, putting myself under all this imaginary pressure, and then feeling like if it doesn't do well, then it wasn't worth it. And then comparing yourself and seeing all these numbers and being like, yo, if my numbers don't go up, then am I really doing something? You know what I mean? Like, if you put out something and it doesn't do as well as you envision it, or if it doesn't surpass your last work, it feels like there's no progress. And that's the issue, is that it feels like there's no progress when you put your value and you attach it to these numbers. And that's why I'm saying that these numbers are meaningless, because it's not about the numbers, it's about putting it out there. It's about the creation. It's about what you do. And so when you attach your value to the creation, the expression, how much you expressed, and how much it means to you, the numbers become meaningless, and they're only a side product of your own work. And so therefore, when you're content with your own creation, none of this matters, because you just create for yourself, and that's where you want to be. You want to have it as authentic as possible. And when you forget about the numbers, when you forget about what people are going to think, when you forget about all these thoughts, you realize that the creation process is fun. When you start out, the reason you start out is because it's fun. You don't do this because, oh, I'm going to make the X, Y, and Z amount of money, or, oh, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z amount of fans. No. Like, I started doing this because it was fun. I had thoughts of, oh yeah, I'm going to blow up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But I started out because it was fun. I did this because it was fun. I didn't do it because, oh, I want numbers. Because that's just stupid. I don't give a fuck about numbers, bro. I give a fuck about what I do, bro. And so, like, you realize that creating should be fun. There shouldn't be this fucking ultra gay process of fucking comparing yourself to everyone and trying to chase numbers and posting your numbers and being like, hey guys, look at me. That's one thing I always found so stupid, bro. I always found, like, I always found people being like, yo, man, we made this million, like this amount of millions this year, bro. We're gonna top that next year. What if you don't, bro? What if you fucking don't? The hats come off. The filter's off, bro. Fuck it. We're gonna just chat. Okay, we're gonna talk about what the fuck I'm actually feeling, okay? The cursing's out, everything. We're going in, bro. We're going in. I'm gonna speak my true fucking mind, my true self, my true everything. And I'm being a hypocrite here because I literally posted my fucking numbers like a day ago, maybe 2 days ago, something like that. I posted that Narcissist had 450 streams on Spotify. And to be honest, I did it because... Honestly, I did it because I was like, damn, I want to post something. I want something that I can post that people are going to be like, oh, that's cool. And so I did it. But I also feel like when you, like, post your numbers, you're a bit of a dickhead, bro. I'm not going to lie. So, is this me calling myself a dickhead? Possibly. Is my subconscious calling myself a dickhead? Possibly. But I feel like when you post your numbers, you're a bit of a dickhead. Why? Because you're like, bro, look at all these numbers I'm doing. Look at all these numbers I'm doing. And it's like, bro, at the end of the day, I can listen to your music and think it's ass. So, it's all subjective anyways. So, at the end of the day, none of these numbers mean anything, is what I'm trying to say. And what I'm trying to also say is that fuck what everyone else is thinking, fuck the numbers, and fuck thinking that you have to keep topping your own work, because creating isn't about topping your old shit. Creating is about expressing what you're going through at the moment. And even if you're going through nothing, that's still something that you could express yourself about. You could be like, damn, I'm going through nothing right now. Let me talk about some shit, or let me make up some shit. You know, this is what storytellers do the whole time. You know, you're sitting in your room, and remember when you were a kid, you're sitting in your room and you start thinking of these crazy ass stories and shit. You pick up like one of your toys and this guy got a whole background, a whole lore, and you start being like, yo, this guy is cool as fuck, and you keep going and you keep making stories and shit. And that's what like authors do the whole time, man. It's just your imagination is a muscle, and so the more you imagine shit, the better it gets. The better your imagination gets, the more you imagine shit, okay? And so, yeah, fuck the numbers. Creation is about expression. Express yourself. And so to get to the point that I'm actually going to get to is that I figured out a little bit of and this sounds very like, duh. Like, bro, what? But I found myself in paralysis, okay? I found myself in paralysis, and I found myself in this place where I'm like, I gotta make this song, and it has to be amazing, and it has to be done in, like, 2 days. But it's like, I kept putting myself in this paralysis, and I realized I just had to write it down. I just had to write it down, bro. I just had to write it down. I wrote down everything I want the song to be. All my ideas. I just wrote it down. I just put it to paper. And I made it real. I didn't make it this fucking... I put it down to paper and I was like, okay, here's where I'm going to start. This is what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't show it for too long because I don't want y'all reading that shit, because I wanted it to be a surprise for when you listen to the song, okay? But I wrote it all down, the things I want to do, the steps I want to take, and it made it real. It made it realistic, okay? when I had this idea in my mind, when it was just like this amazing thing that I didn't know how to approach, I paralyzed myself. When I wrote it down, I realized how fun the actual creation of it is, and I now build this excitement to create rather than sitting there and being like, everyone's expecting this good song from me, and I have to top my old work, and oh, this song has to do better than my last song. But realistically, this song could literally get 10 listens. And that's that. And that's what I'm saying, that these fucking numbers mean nothing, bro. These numbers mean fuck and all, bro. And if you're sitting there going, oh yeah, bro, well, these numbers mean so much, then you can go fuck yourself, because that's how I think, bro. I think these numbers are fucking meaningless. And you can be like, oh yeah, but you need numbers to get signed to a label, or oh yeah, you need numbers for fucking managers to see you and sign you, or whatever the fuck, bro. But at the end of the day, bro, all this numbers bullshit is just ego stroking. You just want to feel good about what you're doing, and that's why you care about these numbers. Which is fair. It's human to do that. But also at the end of the day, like, if you just obsess about numbers, you just become a fucking twat, bro. And so that's why I'm saying, like, when you post your numbers, you're a bit of a dickhead, because your numbers shouldn't matter. If my song makes 1,000,000 streams, gets 1,000,000 streams, but the song sucks ass, what does that even mean? What does that mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I'm trying to do? Because I feel like for the start of this video, I tried to, like, present myself in a certain way. And you know what? Fuck that, bro. I just want to speak the truth in my shit, in my life, in my journey. And so, yeah, fuck it. So yeah, so now I'm finding this fun in this creation process, okay? I'm finding fun in the creation process, and it's fun to me now. And I have these ideas, and these ideas are coming to me, and it feels like a challenge, and it's fun. And I'm also not worried about the thoughts anymore. I'm not worried about what someone's gonna tell me. I'm not worried about if it's gonna make 1,000,000 streams or not. I'm not obsessed over, oh, I need this song to have this many streams, this many streams, this many streams. I don't give a fuck how many streams it makes, okay? All I care about is that the song's out there and I can listen to it while I'm driving in my car, and the people that like it, and they fucking listen to it as well. And they can listen to it in their car as well. That's pretty much the main fucking goal, bro. It's just to listen to this shit in the car. Yeah, man. I fucking love you guys. I appreciate everyone that listened. I appreciate everyone that stuck around to this point. You know, life is an interesting journey, trying to figure out who the fuck you're trying to be, who you want to be, who you are. And again, expression. It's tough because you're scared. I'm scared sometimes of the reaction, but that's life, bro. And you face your fears, and once you face your fears and you tell fear to fuck off, you can't control you no more. So yeah, that's been what I've been trying to put out there. And yeah, again, love y'all and have a beautiful day.